All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls, good morning. It is your boy Brian, joined by Jay McLovin, Chris, and Dustin. Jay, how you feeling today?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good. You know, obviously there's a lot of things going on in sports, and I'm definitely ready to dive into it. It's good to see Stat Guy here. He's kind of been hiding out, doing his thing, but it's good to have him back on the show. And Chris, Greg, everybody, it's all good to see you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chris, how you feeling?
Oh, feeling good. It's Friday. Getting ready to go down and watch the Indiana High School State Wrestling Finals here in a little while. Looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. Dustin, we know you're in the airport. How's travels taking you so far, bro?
Long night last night. Flight was delayed last night, but everything looks to be on time in Memphis right now to get to Daytona by early afternoon today.
So hopefully while you're doing all that stuff, you have fun. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Tiki Live. So there's no excuse for anybody to not be able to see us. We have a packed show for you guys. The MLB lockout continues. And at this point, I think baseball is now just an urban myth. I don't think baseball ever existed. If you ever remember any baseball memories, it is a simulation. You are in the Matrix. DeMar DeRozan is making a case that he's DMVP. Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy are, I don't want to say button heads, but, you know, they're button heads. Before we get into all of that, Hollywood Brown said, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of everything. I don't want to be with the Ravens no more. And it's kind of funny. If you ask him why, it's kind of funny. He's mad because he's not getting proper targets. Almost as if he's trying to say his quarterback can't throw. Almost like he's saying that. But I'm not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that because if you say anything about Lamar, you're mean. Dumb. In terms of the social media, he took everything down, anything Ravens related. He really is taking a step away. The Ravens front office made it clear that they want to bring him back. However, the few times that Hollywood has spoken, it almost sounds like the feeling is not mutual at all. So, Jay McLovin, and also there are the rumors that he wants to stop playing football to pursue a professional gaming career. So, dude, next year, where do you think Hollywood Brown plays football, if he even plays football?
Oh, God. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is he still under contract with the Ravens, though?
I want to say no, but I'm going to tell you right now.
Because I was under the impression that he was still under contract and he just left the game.
He's got 2 years left on his rookie deal. He should.
Right. So, you know, so that means if he did want to, I don't think he's – I think, golly, because, you know, he left. He didn't leave because, you know, he was unsatisfied with the Ravens. He left because he wanted to start new ventures. So I'm thinking that, you know, if he did come back, it would seem to me, unless there's a rift there or something, that he would want to come back and play again with the Ravens because I don't think there was really a rift that would take him someplace else.
Well, there is a rift, though. It's the fact that he's not getting targets.
Because what I read on it, it was saying he saw more lucrativeness in the media game or something that he was trying, that venture he was saying he was going to do. There was more lucrative that way. But if it's a target issue, then, you know, I could see him leaving because Lamar Jackson's kind of a run-first guy, then throws. So maybe he's not getting all the looks he wants. So if that's the case, then, man, he could wind up in a couple of places. He's coming off a rookie deal. He's probably going to want to get paid. Who's got the money to pay him? I mean, obviously, $50 million in cap space. I believe the Bengals have $50 million. He could possibly go there and team up. But I think they already got enough star power there, so I don't think he winds up going there. But then you could look at Green Bay. Maybe Green Bay brings in another threat to team up alongside Devontae Adams and give Rodgers enough. But again, they're kind of cash strapped too. So you got to go someplace where they can pay him. And Miami has. I think Denver has cap room as well. So maybe he goes to Denver and teams up alongside Jerry Jeudy. I don't know.
So this is the last season was the final year of his contract. Next year, it's a 5th-year option.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive it's a team option. So that's how most rookie contracts are. That the 5th year is a team option. So I'm pretty sure they might pick him up. Thing is, I don't know, man. If Homeboy is really considering Chris, maybe it's just me, but if at this point, if Hollywood Brown is, again, I don't know if these rumors are true, but if he's at least considering retirement, how much of a risk is it to bring him in that 5th year?
I think it could be a big risk because if you decide to pick up that option, he could hold out and sit out the season and try to force his way somewhere else. But the other thing, if he's already talking retirement this young, is another team going to want to sign him to a big deal? So you go another team, if another team comes in or give a lot for a trade or anything, because they're not going to know how long they're going to have him if he's already talking retirement.
That's actually a good point, which is kind of funny though, because maybe it's just the way things are kind of looking a little bit, maybe, but I just feel, and Dustin, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, obviously, because I'm a silly boy, but if Hollywood Brown is already this angry and this upset, well, I'm not gonna say angry because he's not like he's lashing out, but if he's already feeling this jaded and he's not even off of his rookie contract yet, isn't that kind of potentially could be a harbinger of things to come?
I say yes and no, but at the same time, this actually could play into the Ravens' hands a little bit, where if he really is contemplating retirement or talking about it, why not try to find a trade partner now, get rid of him, and then make him somebody else's problem where that other team can decide if they want to pick up that 5th-year option or not? Because realistically, I don't think he's really considering retire. I think he's more of using this as a chess piece to basically say he's not happy with Lamar Jackson as a quarterback.
Oh yeah, but I was just reading on here. It says that he's under contract this year, and then next year the team can pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
I thought you said they could pick up his option this year. I might
have said that. I might have said that.
Wrong.
For those of you guys listening, ignore what I said and listen to Chris, because I think I messed up and said that this year that this past year they picked them up. So I think I messed up. Yeah. So Chris is right.
Technically he's got 2 years left if somebody wants it.
This upcoming year, you can get picked up. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, so technically he would have 2 years left if somebody wants that option. That's just why I think if the Ravens are in this position, try to find a trade partner for him now. Get maybe a 2nd or a 3rd round pick out of him. Make him somebody else's problem where that other team can elect to give him that option or not, and then he can decide to take it. But like I said, I don't think he's even considering retirement at this point. I think he's just more so using it as a chess piece to gain leverage on the Ravens to trade him.
Yeah.
Didn't he do this same stuff a year or two ago, where he took all his Ravens stuff off social media and everything, where he wasn't happy about his target?
I don't remember if he did the social media thing.
That was Miles Boykin that did that.
Okay.
No. No, because it was Hollywood. He said something.
Hollywood Brown did this at Oklahoma, though.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the whole social media thing, not that.
I'm saying when he was at Oklahoma, he pulled the transfer card and threatened to transfer out of Oklahoma unless changes were made, and then Lincoln Riley made the changes that he was asking him to make, and he ended up staying.
He might not delete his social media, but I think a year or two ago he was complaining about the way he was being used and not getting enough targets.
Yeah, Yeah, because I remember when because he was saying that he's a legitimate deep threat.
Said something about why have soldiers if you're not going to use them.
Yeah, yep. I remember that. Yeah, it wasn't really like a social media thing. It was somebody had asked him. Just somebody asked him how he sees because it was something about, oh, you know, you're the number one receiver. How do you see yourself fitting going forward? It was like a question like that. And then all of a sudden it went left to why am I even here? That kind of was like the overall gist of what he pushed out.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because it's like it was a positive question. Why you gotta do that? Like it was just so bizarre. Like it was almost as if like the reporter asked him, bro, why does everyone think you're trash? And he was like, oh no, man, why am I here? And it was like, wait a minute, what did we miss? Like, what did the reporter ask? But now this is not the first time that he's done that. That you know that he said this. However, this is kind of the most extreme. And to your point, Dustin, he's kind of has made a career off of doing stuff like this. Because back in college, not only he threatened, I don't know if anybody remembers, but when he first came into the league, he said he was going to be the number one, and if he didn't get his targets, he was going to be a problem. Now, when he said that, he was smiling. So at the time, people thought it was a joke. But now, it's almost as if maybe he meant it, but he kind of was smiling to kind of, you know, just go through it. You know what I mean? Like
kind of smiling, like, "Hey, test me once. Don't give me one. See what happens."
Right. So, look, if he leave, I'll be honest. If Hollywood leaves, if I'm him, I sit down with Lamar because I don't talk to the organization because it doesn't matter if you talk to them, right? If you're upset about your touches, don't go to John Harbaugh. That doesn't matter. Okay. Don't go to the offensive coordinator. Okay. Don't go to Mark Andrews. Don't go to the office. Go to Lamar. Sit down with Lamar and say, look, dog, I need more. I need more touches. Is this something you can do? Just yes, a simple yes or a simple no. Like, and if Lamar goes on a tangent, you say, no. I just want a simple yes or a simple no. I want more targets. Can you give that to me? And if he says no, go, all right, cool. It's been real. I appreciate it. Then go ask for a trade and go from there. But if I feel like if I'm Hollywood, you need to go to Lamar and talk to him. Because if you feel like I'm not getting enough touches, if I'm not getting enough targets, there's only one man on that field. There's only one man in that organization that can change that. There's only one. Yeah. And that's Lamar. That's the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like if Mike Evans before Tom Brady retired, if Mike Evans wasn't getting touches, he wasn't going to Byron Leftwich. He wasn't going to Bruce Arians. He was going to Tom Brady. He was like, yo, Tom, I need more touches.
Go to the guy that has the ball in his hand every play.
And that was the same thing with Odell and Baker Mayfield. Like, you know, Baker just wasn't giving him the ball. I don't know why he wouldn't throw him the damn ball, but
I already made my thoughts known on that. I feel like when they brought in Baker, nobody told him his role. I feel like when that situation, they brought him in, and what I felt like the Browns organization thought was, okay, you're a broken play guy. So because Baker loves to improvise, now when he turns to that improvising style, we now have a wide receiver who loves to improvise as well, and we could reach for you there. That's what they thought Baker would be. And Baker was like, I'm gonna be the number one or number two receiver. I always felt like they were always on two different pages.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they never sat down and had that conversation. They
should have, right? I mean, they really should have.
They should have, and why they didn't, who knows?
Yeah, that's right. Who knows?
It's really a shame. Greg, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning.
So, Greg, we're talking about Hollywood. He's kind of upset about his targets. He feels like it's a little bit inconsistent. Do you think Hollywood? Because Robert in the comments says, I think Hollywood is leaving Baltimore. Do you agree with this sentiment? Do you think Hollywood is going to end up leaving, or do you think this is something that could be patched up?
I think he's going to end up going somewhere else. Once a guy is complaining about his touches, he's got 1 foot already out the door already. So yeah, I can see Hollywood leaving for sure. Yeah.
It's kind of funny Greg said that, because that's actually something we don't understand. If he's saying he feel like he don't have enough touches,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? I would assume this. He's probably saying, man, if I was playing with Derek Carr, I bet I have more touches. I bet if I was playing with Kyler Murray, I have more touches.
Yep.
I bet if I was playing with there's probably like guys that when he's by himself or when he's with his with his people, with his group, he's probably saying, man, this dude not giving me the ball. But imagine if I went somewhere else. Imagine if I went to Buffalo.
Imagine if I got to play with Josh Allen.
Yeah, like, Josh Allen will give me touches, bro. Justin Herbert will give me touches, bro. Joe Burrow will give me it's kind of funny you said that, Greg, because honestly, that's something you don't, that like when you first have to start having the conversation, you don't think about. He probably is thinking, man, if I was anywhere else, I'm good.
Yep.
Now it's kind of odd that because I just want to make sure that I'm not bugging. This is what I've been trying to say for the longest, but nobody ever wants to listen to me.
That is great right there, because that is the real question.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to ask that question because it's Lamar.
Yep.
That's what it is. Since it's Lamar Jackson, we're not allowed to ask that question. Is he, as of right here, right now? Lamar Jackson's not capable of it. That's just a fact of it.
All right.
That's just a fact. Because if he was capable, guess what? He would do it.
Yeah, he's already doing it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, it's like, and he said Brown had 140 targets, which, again, when a lot of those targets are low, and he's saying, how isn't he? I'm assuming he's saying, how isn't he getting him those targets? A lot of those targets are just low targets. And what I mean by low is like the only time, if you really watch it, the only time Lamar Jackson truly cares about Hollywood in terms of the number one is when his route is 5 yards or closer. That's the only time you ever really see him be the number one. When he throws those deep balls, it's more along the lines of, all right, Mark Andrews is covered, but everyone is covered. So it's like, well, I got no choice.
Yeah, he really uses that Mark Andrews as a security blanket. Like that's
Mark Andrews, without a shadow of a doubt, is a security blanket. No debate. No debate. It is. And again, it's fine. It's fine if he's your security blanket. You know what I mean? But you also still have a legitimate number one receiver on the outside that you need to look at. You know what I mean? And again, this is a dude who's still relatively young in his career, so it's not like a Mike Evans situation where Mike Evans had 8 years straight of being 8 years straight of getting 1,000 yards, and then now he's like, all right, look, I already had my success. I'm just here to get a ring, and I'm willing to sacrifice. Like Hollywood isn't in that situation yet. Like he's still looking like I want the stats and the success. You know what I mean? Because he's at that point of his career where we can think about that. Go ahead, Chris.
Another thing, like he said, 140 targets, but how many of those was good throws?
None. I'm saying none. Not a lot.
70 because a lot of them are screen passes too.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like a lot of them. There are a lot of screens that they like to run for him, which again. Not saying Hollywood's a speedster, you know what I mean? So you can use them there, but again, you know who's another speedster? Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill, deep.
And guess what?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he runs those cute little jet sweeps. He does those little screen things. He runs those little 5-yard routes. But guess what else he does? He runs fly routes. And Patrick Mahomes trusts him. There have been multiple times where Hollywood has broken and been wide open, and Lamar would look at him and would want to throw it, but then would hesitate. Like, let's be honest. Like, how many times a pass, like any attempt past 10 yards, how many times has he looked like he wants to throw it? He gets into it, and it's not a pump fake. It's like he wants to, and then it's almost as if he just gets nervous and just stops. And it's kind of a shame because if we're gonna be honest, Hollywood's really a deep guy. You know, he's like a peel the top off. You know what I mean? Like peel the top off the defense type of thing. You know?
Yeah.
I just looked it up here. Cooper Kupp had the most targets at 191. Marquise Brown was actually second in targets at 145 in 2021.
So what you think he's just being?
He actually had more targets than Travis Kelce did, Jalen Waddle.
Mm.
So
are you saying?
Throws, I agree with you guys. It's mostly screens. He don't get no deep stuff down the field anymore.
Yeah, because I mean, this is his first 1,000-yard season, and he only got 8 yards over 1,000. You know what I mean? You know, so it's like I mean, and you do bring up real quick, and Clarence brings up a good point. He like there are times where he does have a case of the Butterfingers. There's no way we can deny it. But at the same time, I don't think we can label him as Butterfingers, because at the same time, it's not like he does it all the time. You know what I mean? Like, again, there are some that he drops and some that are questionable, and it's like, all right, come on, Hollywood. It's really hard to defend that one. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do believe I don't think it's enough of a problem where you can say, oh yeah, he's got Butterfingers. Like, I don't think it's there. But I do think it's in the era where it's like, all right, Hollywood, you know, let's see what we can do to help you secure the ball a little more.
I was looking at the wrong thing. He actually was 9th in targets this season.
Oh, he was 9th. Well, I mean, he's still top 10.
He had
top 10.
He had 9 less targets than Mark Andrews did.
Yeah.
And Mark Andrews is the security blanket.
He has a small frame, and I understand he's got a small frame, but again, that's why I'm, you know, and again, Clarence agreed that, you know, he's a vertical threat, you know, but that's why I think that's fine, because again, I just think it's weird when it comes to anybody else in the league, we don't talk about their frame until it's Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Like, I kind of noticed that, you know what I mean? Like, anybody else is like, you know, they're kind of just this thing where it's like, yeah, he's got a small thing, but it is what it is. Like, it's weird. I don't know. I always felt like people kind of knock Hollywood a lot to give Lamar Jackson an excuse.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
No, that's true on that.
Because listen, I don't care what nobody says. This dude was asked. Listen, his rookie year, people were calling him elite. His rookie year, people were calling him elite. And in his rookie year, he didn't even get 600 receiving yards. People were calling him elite. Okay? Then when they realized that Lamar Jackson was struggling to get him the ball, especially deep, then it became the narrative of, Hollywood's trash. Now Hollywood's not good. He's not good.
If you put Hollywood on the Chiefs, he's not going to be trash then.
I promise.
I bet you get 1,000 yards every year then.
Easily.
I think he put Hollywood on the Rams, and he's going to get that kind of yardage as well, or even the Bills. So let's be honest, the Bills need speed at wide receiver, so he would fit great with Josh Allen on the other side of Diggs.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you now. You put him anywhere, he'll get 1,000 yards easily. I think he'll get 1,000 yards easily if you put him. Listen, if you can get 1,000 yards with the Ravens, where is he? Like Clarence said, that if you can put him on the Ravens, who's a run-first team, and he can get 1,000 yards, I think you could potentially make the argument that He can get 1,000 yards anywhere. I don't care what no one says. He's a number one. He's a number one receiver. If we could sit here and call Tyreek Hill a number one receiver, and y'all can't give the same thing to Marquise, I don't know what to say.
Well, and the thing is, too, what people don't realize is Hollywood was putting up better numbers with Tyler Huntley as the quarterback. Granted, he had more yards receiving with Lamar Jackson because Jackson played more games. But if you look at his game-by-game average, he was averaging about 10 or 11 yards more per game with Tyler Huntley as the quarterback because Huntley can at least throw a deep ball. And he can at least get him the ball downfield instead of relying on these wide receiver screens and quick slants.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yep. And again, this is not to say that Lamar Jackson can't develop into a thrower. You know what I mean? And
He
again,
just needs to work on it.
Yeah, and again, he doesn't even have to be like, you know, a pocket passer. He just needs, honestly, if he's just an average thrower, or maybe even a little bit above average, this is a whole different game. It's a whole different game because how many times have we seen that when the run game don't work, he looks below average. He does not look like a starting quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't. It looks very bad. So, you know, but again, I'm not allowed to say that because then I'm just hating on him. Greg, I've been waiting for you, Greg. I've been waiting for you. Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes. Rumor has it that in the locker room after the loss, the Bengals they was fighting. They put paws on each other. Patrick Mahomes got beat up bad. I heard he got beat up. I heard he took an L, man. I heard he got beat up. It was like, you know what, Eric? I'm gonna get you fired. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he got beat up real bad. You said something in the group chat that you do have something to say about this. So please, Greg, the floor is yours.
Alrighty, yeah, it was a story about it. So apparently during halftime, Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy had gotten to a shouting match. Where it came from was that last play before the end of the half. For some reason, Eric Bieniemy thought they still had a timeout. And he was telling Patrick, hey, we got a timeout. It's good. Don't worry about it. So they go ahead and run the play. And, of course, they didn't have any timeouts.
And the gap ends.
So that led into the whole, well, you told me, and da-da-da-da-da, and all of that. So Andy Reid had to kind of calm everybody back down. And then we saw what we saw in the second half when they only scored 3. Do I believe that happened? Yeah, because you could tell something was different. And if this is the type of attitude that the enemy does have, then I can see why he's not getting very many interviews. You can't have a my way or the highway type attitude when you haven't won enough. Now, the enemy has won. I mean, they won the Super Bowl and they've been to the 4, AFC championships. But it's not a Belichick, it's not a Sean Payton where he can have that type of attitude yet. And so I could see Bieniemy leaving. I know the Matt Nagy rumors are starting to float around for him coming here as a offensive coordinator.
Oh, that would be horrible for you guys.
Well, no, because all this
like Nagy, but I mean, unless you like Nagy,
all he has to do is just do whatever Patrick Mahomes says. That's it. He doesn't have to do anything.
Just do what I say.
Just be like, you like this play? Okay, good. Yo, we're gonna run that. Like, so,
I can't stand you.
like that's what.
Just do what I say.
But if Matt Nagy does come, I think that would be fine. I don't think he would be that horrible as an offensive coordinator. But we'll see what happens. I just thought it was interesting that happened. And, you could kind of tell something was off in the second half. And I'm glad that somebody finally said something. So,
Jay McLaughlin, do you believe that, because obviously, and Greg, I think you know this, there has been some tension between Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy for a little bit, for quite some time.
Yep.
Nothing crazy, but, there's always been reports that when they were in the same room with each other, you could feel it. So, Jay, let me ask you something. Do you think that, to Greg's point, do you think that's the reason why he doesn't have a head coaching job?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If you don't know what's going on at the end of the half, and you could kick a field goal and take 3 points, into the half instead of taking 0 into the half, and then if you're going to call the play, you should know whether or not you have timeouts. And if you don't have timeouts, and you're still going to go to the end zone and try to get a touchdown, well, then go to the end zone and don't go just shy of it. Because when you get tackled, it's like when Tennessee Titans came up 1 yard shy of the Rams. And it was like you almost got it. You almost got it. But you didn't get it. You came up short and you came away with a goose egg. And yeah, Patrick Mahomes is going to be pissed. And yes, if you don't know if you have a timeout or not, and you're missing points and you're not putting points on the board, that's a huge freaking problem. That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Well, this is what happened on that play at the end of the first half.
What happened, Dustin?
I'll say that again.
Do you remember what happened at that play at the end of the first half?
Educate us, please.
If you watch the play in reverse, it was the wide receiver screen to Tyreek Hill, and then Hill tried to hurdle 2 guys at the 2 yard line and got stopped. But before that play, or before that pass, it was actually a fake handoff to Jerick McKinnon, who ran right into the end zone up the middle untouched.
Yeah.
So everybody knew the play that Kansas City was going to throw because Cincinnati overloaded the defensive line to Tyreek Hill's side. So everybody on Cincinnati knew exactly what was coming. Wide receiver screen to Tyreek Hill, Kelsey's your lead blocker, and you try to get in. So Cincinnati shifted everybody over. Mahomes fakes the handoff to McKinnon. McKinnon ran in untouched. So if they run a running play, it's a touchdown.
Yep. Let me ask you a question. Based on what Dustin is saying, and that's good what he's pointing out. So should some of the blame maybe came onto Patrick Mahomes for not audible and running the ball up the middle when he saw that they were stacking on that side of the ball? I mean, could that have been I don't know. I mean,
well, I think so. I think
Yeah.
I think you need to put a little bit on Mahomes, only because we've seen him audible before.
Yeah.
Andy Reid has said we blessed him with the opportunity to audible. If he wants to, if he wants to change the play, he has that right. So if you have that right, goddamn, Michael Chandler versus Benson Henderson. Goddamn. You guys ever want to go back in time to when the days were good? Yeah, bro, that's where I'm at right now. When this fight happened, I was in so much shape. I was a stud. God, I let myself go.
And we
gotta give it. Listen, we gotta give some blame to Patrick Mahomes because if you have the opportunity, because it's weird. If Eric Bieniemy didn't know there was a timeout, that's one thing. But if Patrick Mahomes was like, okay, cool, yeah, we have one. Like I'm not trying to be rude or nothing, but it seemed like Patrick Mahomes was confused because he was like, "Are you sure we have one? Are you sure we have one? Are you sure we have one?" And Eric Bieniemy was saying, "Yeah." If you need to ask the guy to double check more than twice, go somewhere else.
I was gonna say Mahomes has to know how many timeouts you have as well.
Yes,
right. He has to know.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if he couldn't believe for whatever reason, he couldn't believe Eric Bieniemy. Let's say Eric Bieniemy was saying, "Yeah, maybe he was saying that. Maybe whatever the case was, he then needs to go to Andy Reid to say." All right, look, Andy, do you know how many timeouts we have just to be on the safe side? Because I think me and Eric Ben, me and E, we got some confusion going on. So I just want to know how many timeouts we have. Oh, we got one? Oh, we got none. Okay, cool. We got none. All right, cool. Then you go back. Hey, yo, E, listen, to stow away the confusion, I just asked coach. He said we got no timeouts left, so we got to make a move. Like, so Patrick Mahomes does need to wear some of it.
Yes.
But at the same time, for them to argue about it, I think it was a blessing in disguise. Because, like you said, Greg, they finally addressed it. Because again, they've been kind of, it's been a little picky for a while. Everyone says, yo, it's kind of tense and it's almost awkward, because then you see them talk to each other and they're trying to pretend that, oh yeah, there's nothing here, but it's like, we know, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we know,
Right?
Like, mommy and daddy divorced. You don't need to sleep in the same bed. Us as the kids, we know we're going to uncle's house and we're chilling. Like, and I think it's good for them to finally get it out of their system, because now they got it out of their system. Now they're going to take a break from each other. Now they come back and it's like all the animosity that I had, regardless if it was a lot or a little, the tension, we argued, we got it all out. We spoke our piece, and it is what it is.
Well, here's
So,
the
go ahead.
question. Eric Bieniemy's contract expired this season. Well, with all the tension between him and Mahomes, will Kansas City bring him back?
I think so.
It's kind of questionable right now.
But here's the thing: it would have been questionable even with the loss. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Right.
So I don't think it's really because of Patrick Mahomes. I think they would indulge the idea of bringing him back. Obviously, they got to speak to Patrick Mahomes and say, "Yo, Pat, do you feel comfortable?" Obviously, they'll ask him and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But we also need to understand. I understand they got into the argument, but again, as an offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy he's freaking good, man.
He is good.
He's great as an offensive coordinator. So it's like, as an offensive, do you really want to let him rot? Like, let him leave?
Yeah, and that's why I think they work it out. I think him and Mahomes do work it out.
Yeah, you almost have no choice.
Well, the report also says that Andy Reid wasn't happy with Bieniemy at halftime of that game as well.
But you know what? I think they work that out, and I think it makes them better going into next year, because I do that it is going to be a growing experience. And I think look, these men, at some point they're going to have a conversation. They're going to have a meeting, and they're going to be able to talk this out. And I think if they can get the air clear to be like, hey, look, this happened. It's unfortunate, but you know what? We learned from it. We're not going to. It's a lesson learned, and we're not going to compete. And I think they can get back on track and continue to do what they were doing. They got them a Super Bowl and got them the record that they had going into the playoffs. To be honest with you.
I mean, I was sold on Bieniemy as a play caller for like the last few years, but I'm starting to wonder if he's as good as what people think, mainly because he doesn't call the plays. Andy Reid still calls those plays. Regardless if you're the offensive coordinator for that team, the plays still goes through Andy Reid. So Bieniemy is not actually calling the play. Yes, he has input on it, but no matter what play is called, Andy Reid, it's still his play. We saw it with Matt Nagy going to Chicago. Matt Nagy was often credited as being Andy Reid's smartest assistant coach that Andy Reid has ever had. This goes back to his time in Philly, and then this goes back to his early days in Kansas City when he had Doug Peterson there. Andy Reid always backed Matt Nagy as an offensive genius and like one of the smartest coaches he's ever been a part of. Nagy goes to Chicago and has no idea how to run an offense because he never did it before. He was always sitting under Andy Reid and basically letting Andy Reid call things. I'm at the point now.
If that's the case, though, why did he get so mad at Bieniemy and not get mad at Andy Reid for allowing that type of play to be called?
Well, from what
or even with the timeout situation, why is Andy Reid not taking some of the heat? Why is it if Bieniemy's not calling and if he's not calling the plays, then what is Bieniemy doing there?
Well, here's what the story said. I wish I could reread it, but it has been deleted. Somebody deleted it. Maybe somebody from the Chiefs off there. But in that story when it was up, it said that in Bieniemy's contract, it said that he had complete control of offensive play.
He
Okay,
so yes, he actually runs the offense. It's
Yes.
not like it's not along the lines of Andy Reid still calling the plays. It's
Yes.
basically Eric Bieniemy runs it 90% of the time.
Yes.
And there's the occasion where Andy Reid will kind of go, all right, what do you think about running? This is what I'm thinking, type of
That's
thing
right.
where
Yes.
if for
So
some
you're telling
reason,
me then that so what you're basically saying is you're saying that Bieniemy will come up with 90% of the plays, give up, and he feeds it to Andy Reid, and Andy
No.
Reid then relays it out.
No. So
No.
how it goes is Eric Bieniemy is who's talking to Patrick Mahomes.
In the
Like
headset. Okay.
when you see him going like this, it's
Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy talking to Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then when you see Andy Reid doing like this, it's him listening. And then after the 15 second, or when it gets up to 15 seconds, I believe, because in the final 15 seconds of the play clock, the radio goes dead, so you can't hear anything. When you see going like this, there are times where Eric Bieniemy is talking to Andy Reid, and Andy Reid was like, "Okay, so you called that? Why'd you call it?" Like occasionally he'll ask him that.
Yes.
90% of the time, the play calling goes through Eric Bieniemy. However, with Andy Reid still being the head coach, to make it simple, it's the same exact way as the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick, and before Judas decided to turn coat, Josh McDaniels, right? Josh McDaniels was always talking to Tom Brady. He was always talking to Mac Jones. It was him. He was talking to Cam. He was talking to Jarrett Stidham. He was talking to Jimmy Garoppolo or Jacoby Brissett. Whoever was our starter, he was talking to them. And he was the one giving them the plays, and he was talking to them, and his voice was the one they would hear in the headset or in the helmet. After the play clock would go dead, if Bill Belichick had any questions like, what are you doing? Or if he goes, you know what, let's see how this runs out, because if this doesn't run out, I think we should run this, then that's what it would be. So that's kind of the situation that they had. That's why I think it's a little different from Matt Nagy, because Matt Nagy, his hand was held the entire time. His hand was held from the inception. And
so when Nagy was there, it was Andy Reid.
Yeah, it was Andy Reid calling the plays. Yes, that was Andy.
Yes, for Matt Nagy,
that was Andy.
Being held. Yeah. It was his hand being held and him being guided and him going, okay, go ahead. Where do you want to go now? I want ice cream. Okay, well, we're going to go get pizza. Let's go. And then it was his idea to get pizza. Like, that's really how it was with Matt Nagy.
It was.
And when Matt Nagy went to Chicago, it was weird because, A, he didn't have somebody watching over him to give him the ideas and then give him credit for it. But then, B, he didn't have the talent either.
That's true.
So now it's like you have no talent and you have, you got no one to kind of supersede you. Now let's see what road you go on. And then, Matt Nagy, he couldn't do it.
Well, that's why I wish Andy would have been more voiceful on that last drive in the fourth quarter. Because also in that story, it said Bieniemy was calling plays on that last drive inside the 10 that they haven't ran in the past 3 months.
Yep.
And it's like, y'all, I said, this is not the time to be experimenting.
Yep.
This is to go to the Super Bowl. We can't experiment right now.
Yeah, there was one play that they ran. Yeah, my God. You probably know which one it was, Greg. It was a play that they drew up earlier this year. And they drew it up just for poo-poos. It was in the midst of their struggles where Andy Reid, you probably know about this, Greg, to sing Kumbaya, he had a practice where they all kind of had fun and to try to crack the mood a little bit. And they ran a couple of joke plays to liven it up and lighten the things up.
He did.
Yeah. Eric Bieniemy tried to run one of those plays. He tried to run one of those. I don't know if you remember, they lined up and they saw the formation. and Andy Reid called timeout. It was probably one of the most confusing timeout graphic.
Yes, that's he did. Yeah.
It was a weird timeout, and no one knew why. It came out that the formation they had, Andy Reid saw it and was like, wait, we ran this once, it failed, and it was a joke. You want to run this now? Or you want to run this now?
We're trying to get to the Super Bowl and you're running this. Yeah.
Andy Reid called timeout, and it was funny because I watched it. He calls timeout, and all you see is Andy Reid like this. And he's like, and it's funny because he's looking at Patrick Mahomes like, and at first when I was like, what did Patrick do wrong? And then it later came out that like the reason he was looking at Patrick Mahomes wasn't because why did you do that? It's like, can you believe this motherfucker?
Right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And you actually were gonna run that play?
And it was so bizarre. It was so weird because like everyone is like so confused. When it first happened, I was like, wait a minute. Is this I almost called it play clock gate. Because I thought the play clock just dropped all of a sudden. That's why he paid for a timeout. I almost tweeted hashtag play clock gate. I almost did. And then it came out that Eric Bieniemy did that weird call, which I mean, I get why you would do it in a sense. You're trying to get to the Super Bowl. Things ain't looking good. You gotta spice it up. So to that extent, I get it. But if you're gonna run one of those plays, at least do it. I don't know. In the same half of the season, like dog, like you're running plays that even Patrick Mahomes is like, okay,
yeah, we haven't exactly.
But, bro,
we haven't run this in 3 months.
And Patrick Mahomes is a weirdo, and I mean that in a good way because you can give him the dumbest play, and he'll do everything he can to make it work. And more times than not, it'll work. If you got Patrick Mahomes looking at you like, okay, really? Like if you have him looking at you like that, you're messing up, bro. Because you put him on the 1 yard line, and he'll be like cake.
Mm-hmm.
If you put him, if it's like first and goal on the 5 yard line, and you talking about bro, let's run this play, and he's just like, okay. If you got Patrick Mahomes like that, homie, you gotta sit down and you gotta take a deep breath. You know what I mean? You gotta take a deep breath, bro.
And that's why on that last drive, I didn't understand, and now it makes sense. I was like, Tyreek Hill didn't touch the ball inside the 10. Hardman didn't touch the ball. What's his name? McKinnon didn't touch the ball. Those were the guys that need to have the ball in their hands in that situation, and they didn't touch it. And I wish Andy would have spoke up sooner and said, hey, forget all that. We running this. I don't care if you get mad that I told you these plays. Get mad while we're at the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. We running these plays. And I wish he would have did that.
Yo, Andy Reid would be like, yo, you mad at me? Fine. Guess what? The Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Next week,
right. Get mad.
He's like, we could fight. All right. Next week we'll fight.
We'll fight all next week, and then we'll make
it's like, yes, exactly. It's like, all right, Eric, you want to fight me? We'll fight. Whatever. Patrick, who you gonna want to fight? I don't want to fight anyone. You're fighting Travis Kelce. Shut up. You're fighting. Just like, yo,
Travis Kelce by default. Shut your mouth.
Yeah. And then it's gonna be like, all right, Tyreek, who you want to fight? I don't.
Tyreek said, "I'll fight the mascot."
I'll fight the mascot. I'll fight the mascot. Like that. We'll give you someone that's bigger than mascot. You fight Travis Kelce. Let's go. And we're just going to do a bracket, bare knuckle fighting. Everyone is fighting, and then whoever wins, whoever's the last man standing gets like a bonus, right?
Yeah. Like a bonus. Like, the elimination cell. Let's go.
Yeah, that's it, bro. Like, look, man. And again, do I think this is the beginning of the end for Kansas City? I don't think so, but I will say I do think this is a defining moment because I understand, the head coach and the offensive coordinator, they're never going to see eye to eye 100% of the time, right? The quarterback and the head coach, they're never going to see eye to eye 100% of the time. The quarterback and the offensive coordinator, they're never going to see eye to eye 100% of the time. However, when you guys disagree, there needs to be some type of a dialogue.
Yes.
And it's weird because they don't have that. It's like if Patrick Mahomes thinks he's wrong, Eric Bieniemy tells him, he just ignores him, and then he goes to Andy Reid. And then he goes, all right, coach, I know I messed up. I know I did wrong. When I don't know exactly what I did wrong. Let me know what you see. He doesn't go to Eric Bieniemy for that, which I always thought was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. He goes to Andy.
Yeah, which again doesn't make sense because it's like he's your offensive coordinator. That's the first guy you go to, unless he's a scrub, but I don't think he is, which kind of
it's like that in Andy Reid's whole career, though. If you go back to when Andy Reid was in Philadelphia, Donovan McNabb did the same thing. Whenever something happened, the first person he would go to is Andy Reid as opposed to the offensive coordinator. Because even when Andy Reid was in Green Bay during the Brett Favre years, Andy Reid was just a quarterback coach back then. He wasn't the offensive coordinator.
Mhm.
But when Brett Favre made a mistake, he didn't go to the offensive coordinator. He went to Andy Reid.
So you just think it's just like
I just think it's because for whatever reason the quarterbacks are more comfortable going to Andy Reid just because he's been a quarterback coach before, and because he's been a quarterback coach in the past, quarterbacks kind of just trust that he sees something differently than the offensive coordinator. Just because he's been that quarterback coach before, he specialized working with quarterbacks before becoming an offensive coordinator than a head coach. And that's why you've seen it through his whole career that whenever something goes wrong, it's always the quarterback that goes to him versus the rest of the offense goes to the offensive coordinator.
Which, I mean, that could be it too. I mean, if we're going to be honest, Andy Reid does have this weird thing where quarterbacks like going to him. Yeah. And they love talking to him. Like Dustin said, he wasn't even a head coach. He was just a quarterback coach. And you got a legend like Brett Favre turning to you. Like Brett Favre, who hates criticism. If he can go to you and take your criticism, that just could be, to Dustin's point, that just could be the fact that Andy Reid not only can tell you where you went wrong, but it's probably the way he delivers it.
Yeah.
Because every time I've seen Eric, I always say this. Every time I see Andy Reid, I feel like he's the only dude who could tell me that my mom is dead and I won't cry. I always said that. I always feel like he knows how to. Maybe
he's gonna do it in a way where it's like,
it's like, oh, for real?
You never see Andy Reid angry either.
No, you don't. I'll bet you Andy Reid's son. Y'all know the issues that Andy Reid's son brought to the table. You can't tell me that man wasn't turning a few shades of red during that time period.
Well, I'm just saying, like, on the sideline, like, whenever something goes bad or, like, whenever Mahomes makes, like, a bad throw or a bad mistake and he goes to talk to Reid, you never see, like, Andy Reid mad at him. He's just there. He's just there having a normal conversation, just being like, this is what you did. This is what you should have did. Just shake it off and get back out there. Like, he's never, like, that guy that just kind of, like, blows up at you for making a mistake. He's there to, like, someone that you can talk to.
Yeah, he knew how to keep him calm and collected because he knew that if he was to do that would throw Patrick off his game. So
and
that means he obviously had a lot of faith in Patrick as well. So
right, and to Dustin's point, it's almost, instead of getting mad, it's almost like the exact opposite. It's almost as if he goes out of his way to get Patrick Mahomes himself to not get mad. It's almost as if, like, when Patrick Mahomes gets mad, it's like Andy Reid goes, all right, you're mad? Look at me in my eye. You want to be mad? Okay. I love cheeseburgers. And I swear to God, I've always said this. I feel like the first few words, whenever Andy Reid talks to anyone who made a mistake, the first few sentences out of his mouth is him probably making fun of himself to try to crack the guy that you know what I mean? That whoever's mad, right? Like, the quarterback that's mad, he always makes a joke. He always goes, you know what? Let me make a little joke. Let me say a little something, get you to laugh, break the ice. And now that you're good, now that I got you back on this level, mental field, now, all right, look, you made the mistake. Do you know where you made it? Okay, so you know not to make it next time. Next time when you see this, instead of throwing over the top to Travis Kelce in double coverage, listen, you had McCole Hardman on the flat, hit him there. You know what I mean? Or Travis Kelce on the flat, right? You had Hardman for a quick 5 and in. You give that to him, that's a first down and probably even more. So just next time, pay attention to that type of stuff. Like if he, you know what I mean? Like, and to Dustin's point, I think that's probably why. Like that could be why Patrick Mahomes is more comfortable going to him.
If you ask Alex Smith too, when Alex Smith was in Kansas City, like when Alex Smith started to play like really well, ask Alex Smith why he started to play so well, and he'll say, because you don't have to know when you messed up to know you messed up. Like all you have to do is look at Andy Reid, and like he'll look at you, but he won't be mad. Like you look at Andy Reid, he'll look at you, and then you know you messed up. Like he's not the guy that's going to get on you for making a mistake. He just, from whatever they do in practice and just for the amount of repetition they do, everybody on that team knows they make a mistake when they make a mistake, and they don't have to be called out about it just because it's the way he goes about his business in practice. It's the way that he has everybody to do what he needs to do. So everyone just is very comfortable with how he does things just because you don't have to be called out when you make a mistake because everyone knows when they make that mistake. And it's like, okay, you made the mistake. You know what you got to do different next time. Just get back out there and do it.
Yep. And and again, that's a great culture to have.
Yes.
Because when you do that, guess what? Not only is everyone holding everyone else accountable, now you got players holding themselves accountable. Mm-hmm. And that, you know what I mean? Like, and let's be honest, I understand Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy had their thing, but how many times have we heard it that they got into these spats? Like this isn't the first time. Yeah, this isn't. It's not the first. This is the first time it's been public.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, trust me. Like I said, bro, I know for a fact they done knuckled up. I know for a fact. I don't care what you say, Greg. I don't care if you say, nah, they haven't. I promise you.
No, they probably
the reason Patrick Mahomes talks like that is because Eric Bieniemy punched him in the throat. I'm telling you right now, I'm like 1,000% convinced. And the reason that Eric Bieniemy can't grow hair is because Patrick Mahomes ripped them out from the follicle, so he can't grow anymore. Like I'm convinced at this point. But and in terms of if Eric Bieniemy will come back, that's something that remains to be seen. I think he does. Matter of fact, let me ask you.
I think he does too.
So you think so too, Jay? Greg, you think Eric Bieniemy comes back?
I'll say it's 50-50 right now, honestly.
You got to pick one. Now I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm going to say he'll come back from 1 year.
For 1 year? Okay, Chris.
For 1 year, that's it.
Eric Bieniemy coming back?
Yeah, I think he'll come back.
Dustin, you think he comes back?
If he does not want to be a head coach next year, yes. Otherwise, I think he goes somewhere else to prove that he can run an offense 100% on his own.
Interesting. That's interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let's talk basketball. The MVP, DeMar DeRozan, and whatever else you want to call him. He's beating records from a man who never existed. 8 games straight of him scoring 30. Is it 30 or 35?
35.
35. All right.
35 with the above 50% shooting.
It's 8 games straight of him scoring 35 or more points while shooting 50% or higher.
That's crazy to me. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, really, honestly. I mean, to put up numbers is one thing, but to put up numbers with a high efficiency that's just another level.
And it's not layups either. It's mid-range jumpers. It's fadeaways. It's contested jumpers.
That's the problem, right? That's why you don't see that type of feat happening because we're so concerned with the 3-point shot nowadays, and it's a low percentage shot, honestly, that you don't see above 50% like that at the 3-point line very often. And the mid-range jumper is a great shot, but it just seems like the only ones that really do it is DeRozan and Durant, and it seems like it's faded away a lot.
Oh, Chris Paul does it too.
Does Chris? Yeah, okay. Well, I don't see him doing as much though.
No, he does. DeRozan is the master of the mid-range right now.
Oh no, I'm not saying that they're better. I'm just saying that I think there's only 3 guys who actually use the mid-range jump shot enough for you to actually say it's a part of their game.
Yeah,
right.
The thing with DeRozan right now too is everyone knows where his spot is on the floor. It's basically the 15 to 20 foot range anywhere around the paint. And yet he will just isolate you dribble to his spot and just hit it, and there's nothing you can do about it right now. It doesn't matter if you put 3 guys on him, whatever. He gets to his spot, he elevates and just drains it, and there's nothing you can do right now.
You know, he's got his mid ranger is disgusting. It really is. So let me actually ask you a question around the horn. I want to start an argument. With him being able to break history, because a lot of people are convinced that Wilt Chamberlain never existed, because a lot of the stats he puts up are just unrealistic. So it's almost a universal truth among the NBA community that Wilt Chamberlain never really
He's a unicorn.
But DeMar DeRozan broke what a lot of people consider to be a very unbreakable record.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, this has to make him this got to make him the MVP, right?
You would think that, a high efficiency shooting with the amount of points he's putting up would put him in that caliber of a conversation, but it's just not the sexy pick. Embiid and, the Giannis's and LeBron's. I mean, those are obviously the sexier picks, and that's the ones that usually typically get it. But when you look at what DeRozan is doing and the way he's doing it, I mean, honestly, how do you not – I think, like you said, I think we were talking about there was a topic not that long ago that was like, putting respect on Giannis's name. But, a lot of times we don't put enough respect on DeRozan's name. And you look at what he's doing. I mean, the record he broke, would probably never be broken again because, like I said, the mid-range jump shot is just not really there anymore unless somebody magically brings it back into the game. So I don't know if we'll ever see that record get broke again, but it's incredible what he's doing. I think he is an MVP type of guy, but I just don't think that's sexy enough to get it done.
Dustin, you're the Chicago Bulls guy. So is DeRozan the chosen one? Is he your DMVP?
Right now, I'm going to say no for right now, but if Chicago wins the Eastern Conference, he will get it. Mainly because of everything the Bulls have had to go through this year with the injuries, with COVID, with everything. Yet the one consistent they have had on their team all year is DeRozan.
Where's this damn bus at? I keep thinking I'm missing my bus.
Wait, what?
Whenever Dustin talks, you don't hear the horn?
Oh, the horn thing. Oh,
I swear, man. I swear, every time he talks, I feel like I'm missing the number 2 bus.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, with DeRozan, though, the only constant that the Bulls have had this year has been DeRozan. He's missed 7 games with COVID, just like everybody else on the team. But he's really the only player on that roster who has not been injured. He's had a couple nights off just for load management and rest. But he's been the only one on that roster that's remained healthy all year. He's been the only one on that roster that you can count on to consistently give you 25 points a night. And he's only had 3 games this season where he's been under 18 points. So he's literally giving you 20 points every single game. He's literally shooting, I think on the season, he's shooting 55 or 56%. So he's going to be efficient. He's shooting almost 34% from 3, which that's not a great percentage, but he's a 29% three-point shooter for his career. So he's up in that area, shooting close to 90% from the free throw line. And just the shots that he's made. He made NBA history by doing what he did on Wednesday. And he also made NBA history earlier this year by making consecutive buzzer-beating three-pointers in back-to-back games. Nobody did that either until DeRozan did that. So there's a lot of things that he's doing that nobody else has done or that nobody else has seen. And we always talk about the MVP is a statistical-based award, which it is. But you also got to throw in team record into that equation. And if the Bulls do end up with the best record in the East, he's going to get it, I think.
Greg, DeRozan.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this: should he be a top 3 in the MVP?
Yes. Yeah, it's between him, Embiid, and if you want to throw Jokic in there, yeah. But yeah, he's definitely top 3 for the MVP. If I had to give my vote, I'll give it to Embiid, only because Joel Embiid is finally becoming the player that we all thought he could. This is his best year. Joel Embiid is finally showing up night in and night out. I remember a couple of years ago when Shaq was saying when Joel Embiid becomes a consistent player where he can put up 30, 35 night in and night out, he's going to be a problem. He's turned into a problem now. And so Embiid having the career year that he's having, I would go ahead and give him that nod. But DeRozan is, right there with him. So it's neck and neck right now.
Chris, let me ask you something. What does DeMar DeRozan have to do for him to get respect on his name?
I don't know, because he should have already had a lot of respect on his name for everything he's done. I mean, he played good in Toronto. He played good in San Antonio. It's not like he left Toronto, went to San Antonio and didn't play well. He's still averaging, 23, 24 points a game.
Mhm.
And now with the Bulls, he's turned it up to another level. I think if he keeps doing if he does in the second half what he done in the first half of the season, I think he'll have a real good shot at getting MVP.
I don't think he'll ever get MVP. I don't think so. And I think it just goes to what Jay McLevin said. The problem is that the MVP award is a regular season award, right?
Right.
Yes.
The problem is people are using what happened to him in Toronto when he played against LeBron James in the playoffs, he played against Cavaliers. They're using that to say that's why he shouldn't be MVP this year. That's what they're doing. Problem is, this is what, his fourth year since leaving Toronto?
Right.
Yeah, it's 4. Yeah.
Right? Because he spent 3 years in San Antonio.
He did.
And then this is his first year. So we're on his fourth year away from Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this narrative that people say he can't win MVP because in the playoffs he shrank. When it wasn't the playoffs that made him shrink. It was just LeBron James. So that's all it really was. That's it. And if you don't believe me, you can go back and look at it. Up until they played the Cavaliers, DeMar DeRozan was playing good basketball. He was playing good basketball.
Yep.
He was helping. He was leading his team, going through the. Why do you think it was a de facto? Everyone said, "Yep, it's going to be Toronto versus the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals."
Because Toronto was the second best team in the East at that time.
Exactly. Toronto was a good team.
Yeah, they're very good.
They were a good team. DeMar DeRozan is a good player who can have great moments. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't understand this whole thing where, because of him being what he was in Toronto, which again, in Toronto, solid. I think, what was it? His highest points per game was 20. I think it was like 2016, 2017. It was like 27 points per game. But other than that, he's a solid 20 point per game scorer. Not bad. But then this year, he's doing everything he can to prove that I'm a legitimate player. And I understand we lost in Toronto. But, and I believe this in my heart of hearts, now I think a lot of people believe this. If they traded Kyle Lowry instead of DeMar DeRozan and the same exact circumstances happened, they're winning the ring still. They're still winning the ring. We need to understand they didn't win the ring because of their talent. They won it because of circumstances. Now, I'm not going to take that away from them. I'm only saying that because people are saying, oh, yeah, they got rid of DeMar and all of a sudden Toronto won. I don't think that's fair to say. I don't think it's fair because it's not like they were exponentially greater.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and if there wouldn't have been a lot of injuries, I don't think Toronto would have won that year anyway.
Right. So
Right.
for me, it's just this weird thing for me where I don't like it when people say, oh, yeah. And again, like Dustin said before he left, DeMar DeRozan has been the only consistent, the only consistency the Chicago Bulls have had.
And Toronto, they won that championship because of Kawhi Leonard. It wasn't because DeMar DeRozan left and now, oh yeah, DeMar left, so this is how Toronto won. No, they won because they had Kawhi and he had a great playoff. It was not because DeMar DeRozan left.
Right. So
it's just silly.
Exactly. It's not.
And look at all the injuries the Bulls have had this year, and for the way he's played, and have the Bulls up at the number 1 seed with Caruso being out, Ball's been out, missed time, Levine. I mean, ain't like he's had a full complement of the other weapons with him.
Yeah, he's been the most consistent piece for the Chicago Bulls. And guess what? They're the number 1 seed. You know, like at some point you're gonna have to respect them. But again, people who know nothing about basketball always say, "Oh, what success are they having?" And it's
Right.
like, yeah, and that's the narrative I don't understand, because they're like, "Oh yeah, they never won." Like DeMar DeRozan has never won anything in the he never been to a finals, and it's like, okay. First of all, the MVP is a regular season award, but again, the Chicago Bulls this year are the number 1 seed so far. Have never dropped anything below the 3rd seed at any point of the NBA season. Has ever been under the 3rd seed. And when they were the 3rd seed, they were tied for the 2nd seed. So it's not like they were the 3rd seed and then it was like 5 games separating them. No, they were tied for it. And then within 2 games, they went back up to the 1st. And people were saying, "Oh my God, you know, these Chicago Bulls fans, they're so delusional. They're not going to do nothing." I find it comical that when the Chicago Bulls are doing something, and we got to notice the people who are saying that the Chicago Bulls are, you know, are mad at, they're mad at them because they're mad at the fans because they're celebrating the success and all this. The same people who are mad are the same people who said that the DeMar DeRozan acquisition was horrible. These are the same people who said that this team would be a playing team at best. I'm starting to notice something, that the people who knocked DeMar DeRozan and just knocked the Chicago Bulls, period, are the same people that preseason said this team would not even be a playing team. I find it funny. I really do. I don't think DeMar DeRozan is going to win MVP. I don't think he's ever going to be in the conversation. And I don't think anyone's ever really going to take him serious.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate reality of the situation is just, we need to understand the MVP doesn't mean anything anymore. And I think that's a conversation people need to be ready to have. The MVP means nothing. It doesn't, because now it's not who's really the most valuable player. It's not that anymore. It's not. It's who's the most popular.
And that's true, Pride. You know what? The MVP in the NBA award means just about as much as it does in the NFL. And both of those awards mean just about as much as watching the Pro Bowl. You ever watch the Pro Bowl this year? It was horrible. It was like watching over-glorified flag football. I mean, I was angry. I was like, man, that's some bullshit.
I felt like,
but that's the way I feel about the MVP awards. I feel like they're just, I don't put a lot of validity in it, and I don't know if that. I just don't. I don't think it's like you said, Greg, or a lot of people have said is, you can do great in the regular season, but that's great. It's the regular season, whatever. Yeah. But does it transcend to the postseason?
Right.
But again, it has translated into the postseason. For DeMar DeRozan, it has.
I get that.
Yeah.
You know I get
I guess I'm more talking about, like, look at Aaron Rodgers. Take him for example. Did it transcend into the postseason? Probably not.
That's right. Yeah.
No.
And if LeBron James was to get the MVP award this year, and look where the Lakers are. I mean,
and that's the thing. And by the way, I just want to touch on this. What I don't get is why people are shocked DeMar DeRozan. We see him do this every year. Question is, what can you do in the playoffs? You can't ask that when we're not even at the All-Star break. At some point, people need to understand, bro. You need to understand something. Never in the history of the NBA has the playoffs happen before the All-Star game.
That's true.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We need to understand that because listen, right now, he's like in terms of points this year, it's a career high. Okay. In terms of where's his efficiency at? It is the second highest of his career. There's only his second year in San Antonio, he did 53% from the floor. This year's 51. So it's the second highest of his career. Where's his assists at? He's giving you 5 assists. And where's his rebounds? 5 assists and 5 rebounds. Solid numbers.
Yeah.
Solid numbers,
good.
right? Respectable numbers, right?
Those are decent numbers.
Yeah.
Right. But hold on. These numbers are in the playoffs, so it doesn't count. You see how stupid people sound?
Yeah.
You see how stupid you sound? Look, listen, DeMar DeRozan played well in the playoffs.
He did.
And it was just LeBron James. Whenever he would play LeBron James, that was his biggest problem. That's really all it was to it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just him. It was the entire Raptors team. It was him. It was Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet. It was all of them top to bottom. It was all of them.
You're right, exactly.
That's all it was. But up until then, DeMar DeRozan was playing good. And matter of fact, you can even make argument he was playing great playoff basketball.
But then they'll make the argument, Pride, that the reason why DeRozan probably won't get the MVP is because maybe he's not carrying the team like a Giannis or even like an Embiid is doing with the 76ers. You know, they're going to say,
and here's my rebuttal to that. Yeah, and here's my rebuttal to that. He's not only does he have the Chicago Bulls and the number 1 seed, he's done it with less help because of all the injuries they're going through.
Oh, that's true.
He's been more consistent than those guys have been all year.
Yeah.
I get it.
You know what I mean? So that would be my rebuttal to people saying that. That would be my rebuttal. You know what I mean? Because again, it's just funny. When it comes to the MVP, team record matters until it doesn't. It matters until you don't like the guy who's the number 1 seed. Let's be fair here. It matters. Like think about it now.
It's not a popularity contest.
That's all it is. That's all, and that's why I personally just don't respect the MVP award anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
Because at some point we need to sit down and understand, hold on, time out. It doesn't matter who the person is. Who's playing at an MVP caliber this year? That's all. I don't care what they did last year. This is a year-to-year award. That's it. But for example, like the Finals MVP, right? The Finals MVP. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if a team goes back-to-back. It doesn't matter who won it last year. Doesn't matter. Who balled out? Who was the best player for on the court, period? If it's the same person it was last year, all right, cool. We'll give it to them. But if let's say Milwaukee goes back to back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say this in the finals this year, Jrue Holiday outplays Giannis. Who do you think they're gonna give it to?
Oh, they're gonna give it to Giannis.
Yeah, they're gonna give it to Giannis.
They're gonna give it.
They're gonna say Giannis is the guy. He's the team. He's everything about Milwaukee
because he attracted attention.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like it's real hard to respect some of these awards when you're only doing it for like look, every once in a while when you're looking through the NBA record book and you're looking at MVP, if in a 10-year span, and if you disagree with me, that's fine, then I implore you to stop watching sports. But in a 10-year span, in any sport, in a 10-year span, if you're looking at MVPs, at least 3 of them should be average players. And the reason I say that is because in a 10-year span, there's always those good players that has a great year. You don't believe me? That's fine. Look at this year.
Yeah.
With DeMar DeRozan. You know, matter of fact, let's go to baseball, right? Jeff Kent got an MVP. And before he went to San Francisco, he was the definition of a journeyman. All of a sudden, he went behind Barry Bonds, and homeboys are all of a sudden, and he's the MVP candidate, and even won one. Average player. He's an average player, right? Yes.
I would put him in the average.
Yeah. He's average. Yeah, he's average.
He was a good player, but he wasn't like spectacularly great.
He was a good player. If you said before him going to San Francisco, if anyone said that's a Hall of Famer, people are laughing at you. But if you're put in the right position and you just so happen to have a great year, you should be in contention for it. Point blank, period. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what you did last year. I don't care about that. When it comes to MVP, it's a regular season award. How are you playing now? How are you playing?
It don't matter what you've done in the playoffs 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter, because if that's the case, then guess what? LeBron's MVP this year, because a few years back he came back 3-1. You see how dumb that sounds? Do you hear how stupid that sounds?
Yeah.
It's stupid to say that. Like, for you to say that, like, by that logic, like,
if you want to say the regular season don't mean nothing, you might as well just don't have a regular season, just play playoffs.
Take your word away.
Yeah,
you know what? If it don't matter, here's what we're going to do, right? Matter of fact, Chris, I'm going to go with you. We're going to play 5 games. All within your division. Whoever got the best record goes to the playoffs.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
If the regular season don't matter. But guess what? It does.
Yeah, that's how you get to the playoffs. That's how you have a chance to win.
I just love when people say the regular season don't matter. And it's like, okay, so then leave the industry. Like, leave. Because in order to get to a championship game, you got to win postseason games, correct?
Yeah.
Now, how do you win postseason games? Well, that means you got to get to the actual postseason, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you get to the postseason? If only there was something we could, like, have a series of games you could play before the postseason, and then we could reward you with a record system, right? Where if you win, we add 1 to your win column, but if you lose, we add 1 to your loss column. If only there's a way we can organize it so that way whoever has the most wins can move on to the postseason. Do y'all know if there's something that's like that? Oh my God, I just described the regular seasons. You idiotic morons. like at some point, I'm being serious. At some point, we got to understand something. The regular season has to have some merit. Now, is it as important as a postseason and as a championship game? No, it's not. No, it's not. But it's still important. It's still important, regardless. Because without the regular season, there's no postseason. Without the postseason, there's no championship. And now what? Now what are you doing?
And you know, the sad part is if the Bulls don't make the finals, DeRozan is going to be the fall guy.
Yeah, that's all it is.
He's going to be the one that they blame.
And guess what? DeMar DeRozan's probably he'll do what he does, right? He'll give you a solid 20, 25, right? He'll hold it down. He'll be efficient, give you 25, 5 and 5, and guess what? He should have averaged 30. That's going to be the narrative.
And let me ask you guys on a for real tip. Does anybody here really believe strongly enough in the Chicago Bulls that they would make the finals? Because I don't have that confidence in them. I just don't.
I think they can. My concern is health. That's my biggest concern with them. I do like what they're doing, being able to be the number 1 seed with with what they have. But in a 7-game series,
you're gonna need your dogs.
You're gonna need them. Yeah, and in the 7-game series, that's where I start to get concerned.
Right.
I think they have, when healthy, they have the talent, but you can't play that when healthy game because health is a big thing. It really is. It's a big thing when it comes to sports, right? So I want to, but I don't know. I don't know just because, you know what I mean? Like they could have a great first round, and then the second round, all of a sudden, Zach LaVine goes down, and then Caruso goes down, then Ball goes down, and then everyone starts going down, and then it's like, okay, yeah, he definitely can't. You know what I mean? So for now,
I just don't know if a lot of teams. I just don't think anybody's going to be able to match up with the Milwaukee Bucks in terms of what they have in the paint perimeter. I just, because they just brought in a hell of a trade with Ibaka. They didn't give up nothing for Ibaka. They just brought him in, and I think that's just
hold on real quick. I gotta address a moron. Wait a minute. Y'all saying season matters, but I was talking about Lamar saying what he does in the season don't matter because he took to the playoffs. That right there is how you know you don't know how to listen because nobody mentioned the playoffs when we were talking about Lamar. Playoffs was never involved. No one said nothing about the playoffs. No, no one said nothing about preseason, regular season, postseason, no season. No one said nothing about that.
No, we were just talking whether he could throw the ball down the court or not.
Yeah. So again, try again. Okay, I'm gonna give you an opportunity. I promise you, I'll give you another opportunity. Try again.
His playoff record is like 1-3 or something like that. We weren't talking about that though. Yeah.
Greg said you weren't talking about the playoff record. We can talk about it.
And then at the same point, and matter of fact, no, that's 2 losses. That's 2 losses. Hold on, that's 2 losses. Because think about it. He said y'all saying the regular season don't matter, but y'all was saying Lamar saying that he doesn't see don't matter because he took to the playoffs. First of all, not only is he wrong, but 2, he's now implying that we said the postseason doesn't matter. When it's kind of funny because I said this and you all agreed. I said the regular season is important, but I also said what's more important, the playoffs, and what's more important than that, the championship game.
Yep.
So,
and honestly, in football, I think the regular season is even more important because you get that number 1 seed gets that first round bye where you don't get that in other sports.
Let me ask you a question about that. Because honestly, I'll be honest with you. I think what I'm going to say is going to be funny and people are going to get mad at me. I think by far having the number 1 seed in football is like a curse. I think it's cursed.
It can be because a lot of teams don't play good after that.
They don't
break. The Colts were undefeated or 14-1 that year, coming to playoffs, get the bye, and look like shit the first playoff game. See, a lot of teams do that.
So let's say if you guys were running a team, would you guys go out of your way to avoid having the number 1 seed? I'm talking about for football. To avoid that bye week.
That's an interesting question.
Right?
It depends on what kind of team. If I have a veteran team, I will want that week off. I want everybody to be healthy.
Hell yeah.
And all that. If my team is young and we ain't never been here and all that, we need to keep playing.
You need some tune-up games.
I don't want no bye week. No. So
yeah, you want them tune-up games.
Right. So veteran team, yes, I want the 1 seed. A young team, no, I don't want.
I think it depends on what kind of team you have. If your team is more of an offensive team, I think it would be better not to have the first round bye so you can stay in rhythm. Or if you're a team that's more defensive, I don't think that matters as much because you don't have the same. You don't have to have the same rhythm that you do on offense on the defensive side of the ball.
And it also could be a matchup thing. Maybe the team that you have in the first round, you don't match up well against them. Maybe you're like, hell no, let me just skip past this round and hope that team gets knocked out so I ain't going to mess with that mess, So it could be a matchup thing as well. It's from where you want to be seated.
I don't know, man. I don't know, indeed.
I wonder how many teams have got that number 1 seed and have that bye and have got beat their first game.
A lot.
This is the most recent one I find. If you guys find a more recent one, let me know. This was put up 3 years ago, so this is the most recent one we have. But teams with the first round bye have made the Super Bowl at a rate 7 times of the seeds 3 through 6. So the number 1 seed, and this is just to make the Super Bowl. 54% for the first for the number 1 seed, 25% for the 5th seed, 4% for the number 3 seed, 13% for the number 4 seed, 2% for the number 5 seed, and 4% for the number 6 seed. And then a team is 7.3 times more likely to make the Super Bowl than with a bye week than a team without it. And then the number 2 seed is almost 2.5 times more likely to make the Super Bowl, or the number 1 seed is 2.5 more times more likely to make Super Bowl than the number 2 seed, and then the number 2 seed is almost 5 times more likely to make the Super Bowl than the 3 through 6 seed. Again, this is 3 years ago, so I don't know how that fares, but I'm pretty sure it'll be about the same. I think it'll be about the same.
And when the Chiefs won their Super Bowl, they were a 2 seed that year. They were not a 1. They were a 1 seed the next year when they lost.
And I know this year, no number 1 seed made it to the Super Bowl.
And none. Right.
Matter of fact, remember if I'm wrong, but didn't the Packers have that bye week and then they lost to the Niners, right?
Yeah.
This weekend, both number 1 seed.
Yeah, the Packers and the Titans lost. Yeah.
I guess that bye week didn't work out too well for them.
That joke was hilarious, bro. That joke was hilarious. All right, I'm gonna ask y'all a little something, because I want to keep this NBA talk rolling, because I'm telling you right now, I think this is probably the funniest thing I've seen. So right here, right now, as currently constructed, the Brooklyn Nets are the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. If the playoffs were to start today, in the play-in, they will play the Toronto Raptors. And then if they were to win, they would be the 7th seed. Which, if they were the 7th seed, matches them up with Chicago. So, here's the question I have. I want to start with you, Jay. Brooklyn being at the 8th seed, is this one of the most dangerous 8th seeds in the history of the NBA?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It really is, because number 1 at the 8th seed, they get Kyrie Irving, so they're gonna have him. And then if Durant is healthy, they'll have Durant. And then of course, if Ben Simmons gets over the mental issues he's got, then they got. See, this is what's so interesting to me. I don't know. I just don't know how this new 3 is gonna play out, because I don't know how Simmons is going to fit in and how that's going to affect it. But yeah, I think if you know what Durant's going to bring to the table in healthiness, what Kyrie and health is going to bring, and then I think if you get the defensive and the facilitation of Simmons thrown in there, I mean, yeah, this team could be, at their seed, they're going to be good. They're going to make the play-in. I don't think they don't make the play-in.
Yeah, and then to answer,
where they go from there against Chicago, like Greg said, and like you said, it's going to depend on how healthy Chicago is when they face them.
And I just want to say, this real quick, because you're saying you don't know how Ben Simmons will fit. I think he'll fit in the James Harden role in terms of orchestrating the offense.
Yeah,
because if you really look at it, you got solid shooting all around him. You really do. So it's not like you need to force Ben Simmons to be a shooter. And then there could be times where it's like, you're all right, Ben. We're gonna hand the ball to Kyrie. He's gonna do his thing, and we've seen Kevin Durant take a back seat. He's like, yo, just give me a couple shots here and there, and I'm chilling. We've seen him do that before. You know what I mean? So, I think he'll mesh well. I really do. I think he'll fit. I think it'll be okay. I don't think they should really have any real trouble incorporating him. And when I say him, I'm referring to Ben Simmons, because they already have the hierarchy. Well, for the most part, they already have it established. Right? It's like Kevin Durant's the guy, and Ben Simmons, you're the number 2. And the only reason you're the number 2 is because of consistency. But even then, you have plenty of guys who can rotate the number 2.
So I think what I'm speaking on, Brian, I think what I'm saying when I say him fitting in is like, I feel like when they lost Harden, they lost, obviously they lost the 3 ball. They lost, but they also gain defensiveness through Simmons. I think when you bring in somebody like Simmons, it's like you're trading one for the other. So you got to realize when you bring in Simmons, you're going to lose a little bit of the scoring, but you're going to make up for it, like you said, on the facilitation and the defensive side. So they both bring different things.
Yeah, but they
You
also
picked up Curry. That's a
I was
shooter.
about to say, you also got to remember.
You got to set Curry as a shooter. You're right. They did gather up that. You're right.
Yeah, they didn't.
And
just
Drummond
straight up.
from rebounding.
You got Andre Drummond, who a lot.
He's just going to be your rebounder, your and your paint guy.
I think the Nets got better on that with that
I think
trade.
he's the best backup center in the league.
I think the Nets got better with that trade myself.
Easily.
Yeah.
I think they got better.
Hell, I think they got better when they got 2 first-round picks too. I mean, damn. I find it interesting, and this is why I call Daryl Morey an idiot on Facebook. I find it interesting that he was trying to get 2 to 3 picks for Simmons, and then he winds up giving up 2 picks for Harden. So I don't. Hey, you're trying to give picks, but then you're giving away picks. I mean, I don't understand.
I kind of understand it to an extent. I mean, I don't get the 2. I would have done 1, but again, you got to remember, there were 2 big names that they wanted. The biggest name they wanted was Damian Lillard. That's the biggest name that they wanted. If you couldn't get him, who else would they want? Who was their backup plan? James Harden.
And Daryl Morey loves Harden. Always loved Harden.
He's always loved him. So, like, with all that, I think when he realized, hold on, James Harden's really available, I think he kind of was just like, this is one of the top 2 guys that we wanted. This is my favorite guy in the world. We need to make this work no matter what the cost. Like,
I think it's interesting, though, but I think it's interesting because when he gave up Harden originally to the Washington Wizards, that was a different Harden, and he got the 3 picks. But I think the Harden he's getting back this time is not the same Harden that when he left. You know, Harden's a little more out of shape. He's got injuries. He's not going to be as dependable as he once was. I mean, age plus weight is a factor.
Yeah, it really is.
Damn, come on.
It really is, but that's why me again, maybe it's just a me thing, but that's why I believe Brooklyn fleeced, bamboozled, hoodwinked, robbed, abused. They conquered, brutalized, and victimized the 76ers.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't even think it's close. Like, I don't call this a trade. I don't call this a steal. I call this taking advantage of.
Right.
Because what Brooklyn got is by far hilarious. Because guess what they did? They got rid of James Harden, who in that trade is the best player. And usually when you trade the best player, you lose. But the funny thing about it, they traded him and got better. Like when they traded James, they filled in every hole they needed to fill. They needed a facilitator and they need defense. You bring in Ben Simmons. You don't want to lose shooting. That's why you got Seth Curry. And you need another reliable big man. That's why you got Andre Drummond. Like,
yeah, they did. And then you get the picks on top of it.
So it's
like the cherry on the damn top.
Literally. So it's like every single hole they needed filled, they overfilled it. And then got the 2 picks. So it's like, oh, wow, we also have.
But you know what? I think if I'm Daryl Morey and after this trade just happened, I'm feeling a little bit violated. Like personally violated. Maybe like to the point of like, damn, maybe I need to go to the hospital to make sure all my orifices are still intact.
I mean, listen, this is just me, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Daryl Morey, my bad. Daryl Morey needs to start counting his days. Because and maybe it's just me, but I'm telling you this right now. By far, if this does not pan out, forget Doc Rivers. Daryl Morey needs to get fired.
Oh yeah,
I think they both need to go. I think you just usher out a whole new regiment.
Let's say this doesn't work. Who gets fired first, Morey or Rivers?
I think Morey gets fired
You
first.
think Morey gets fired first?
Because of the decision making with this trade and everything, and the way he's left the team, you got to believe Morey gets fired first.
Okay. Chris, who gets fired first?
I think Morey will get fired first because he's the one that pulled the trigger on the trade. But I think
Doc Rivers there was Doc Rivers there before Morey? Was Doc Rivers there before Morey, or did he bring in Doc Rivers?
I think Morey brought in Doc.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking too. So that kind of just tells you, look, the trade was Morey's fault. Bringing in Doc Rivers maybe wasn't necessarily the right answer for the team, so that relies on him. I mean, I think you get rid of Morey first, and then you write out Doc Rivers, and then you bring in a new general manager and let him hire your new coach. And then I think you just need to start from fresh. I don't know how Embiid's going to take that. But
my thing is, does the Sixers team still going to have respect for Doc Rivers after the way he's thrown Simmons under the bus and some of the other comments that he's made?
Well, hell, he threw him under the bus. Hell, Embiid threw him under the bus.
Yeah.
I think. Hey, I don't think Embiid's going to have an issue with that. To be honest, because he didn't want Simmons there anyway.
Yeah, the Sixers got to at least get to the conference finals or the finals for both of them to be safe.
I'm really curious to see when Harden comes off this injury, how well him and I think Harden can work well with Embiid because he's worked well with Westbrook. He's worked well with Durant. I mean, they were making it work. There were no mismatches there. I think if Harden can get somewhat and back into form of his Houston days, I don't know if that's going to happen. If he can, you pair that with an Embiid, I mean, that could be very dangerous. And you got Thibault and you got Harris. I mean, you got a lot of pieces still there to work with.
Yeah. Okay, so January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay, so Doc Rivers got hired by the 76ers on October 3rd, 2020.
Okay.
Let me just make sure. Yeah, so 2020. Daryl Morey got hired like 2 weeks after that on November 2nd, 2020.
Okay.
So, but I wonder if Morey had a say in that, or if that was part of the interview process. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I guess they would have had to hire him before. Since Morey was hired afterwards, that means the Sixers brought in
at the time. You got to remember, Doc Rivers was the best free agent coach in 2020.
Yep.
Like he was the best. Like it really wasn't even close. Like he was the best. So I don't even think they even had a conversation. I just think it was like he's the best. We need somebody. We need a veteran coach who can control this locker room to try to make Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons work.
A lot of people were hot on Ty Lue as well, though. Just Ty Lue, when he went to the Clippers, they were really high on him as well.
Since Morey didn't hire Rivers, do you think Rivers might be gone before Morey?
I'm gonna say this right now: if they don't win, I think Doc Rivers quits. You want to know why?
I can see that.
Think about it. After last year, he put all that blame on Ben Simmons. Then when Ben Simmons got sick of it, he tried to double back on it. Who is he gonna blame this year? That's my thing. If
you really can't blame Embiid because he's playing lights out.
Yeah, they're playing lights out.
No. Doesn't even matter. Let's say he plays like garbage. Let's say he plays like garbage. You really think the 76ers organization is gonna let him talk wrong to Joel Embiid?
Oh hell no.
No,
No, that's their star guy.
So they're not gonna let him talk broad down Joel Embiid. Daryl Morey damn near wants to propose to James Harden. That's your second.
That's true. He does.
Or your 1B, however you want to call it. That they're your 1A, 1B, however you want to call it.
It kind of goes back to Mike Ditka and Ricky Williams in the wedding dress. I kind of have that type of relationship.
So if you want to say James Harden is better, whatever. If you want to say Joel Embiid is better, whatever. But they're the two top guys. One of them is the star that the organization has gone out of their way to protect, baby, and coddle. And the other one, the GM, has gone out of his way to protect, baby, and coddle. So your two best players, you cannot blame. Are you then going to go and blame role players? Are you going to say what? Are you going to say Tobias Harris? Is that how you're going to blame Tobias Harris? Like
No,
there's nobody else that he could blame.
Yeah, the cupboard is bare. The cupboard is bare. Maybe he blames his evil twin. Maybe he has a psychotic breakdown and says, "I need help." It was my psychotic twin's fault.
And it's kind of crazy because with Doc's time now with the Sixers, we kind of forget how good he was with the Celtics. He's kind of tarnishing his own legacy with being with the Sixers, because when he was at Boston, they won the championship. They got to another final. So
we lost, but we were still
it was still good.
We were still competitive.
Yes,
we were still, you know.
I think that Boston team really covered up a lot of Doc Rivers because it was so good, so talented, and that team was put together by the GM, not even really, Doc Rivers. I mean, I think you could have put anybody in that who had at least a little bit of common sense. No, and I think you could have won.
No. Mm-mm.
You don't think so?
No. No way. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. That team was so freaking good on all levels.
It was good. It was. But we also need to remember who was on that team. Okay.
Yeah.
KG was telling Melo his girls tasted like Honey Nut Cheerios. Okay.
Boy, yeah, that's right. That's
all
right.
Okay. You had him saying that every day. You had Ray Allen and Rondo fighting every time. Paul Pierce was like, I'm sick of it, bro. I need help. And when he got the help, he's like, shit, all this drama, I want to go back to the olden days. Like, we had success. Then you got KG yelling at Big Baby Glenn Davis. And then Glenn was like, I'm fighting for my life out here. He's crying on the bench and whatnot. Like, look, man, we needed Doc.
Doc was a really good psychologist at being able to control everybody and keep them on the same path.
Listen, man, because we needed that so bad, bro. We needed it so bad because after things started going, like after we lost the rematch, things were so bad. Paul Pierce wanted to fight everybody.
Ray Allen won't even talk to the Celtics anymore. I think he's kind of disowned the Celtics.
He has, which is good. We don't care about you. Who cares? Like. I don't care because here's the thing. The only thing I never understood, where I began to lose respect for Ray Allen was, I'll never go to the enemy, ever. We're boys for life. By the way, I'm gonna take less money and go to Miami. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, when Miami beat us the year before, he was in the locker room talking garbage about LeBron and D-Wade. People forget about it. He was disrespecting them. Now, not how Rondo was, because Rondo was talking about their families, so it wasn't that extreme. But Ray was there calling them trash and saying they were lucky. Right? And then we offered him more money. And people forget this. The reason we went and signed Jason Terry was because we were concerned. We didn't know if Ray was going to come back. We wanted him to come back. Granted, he wasn't going to start because we gave that position to Avery Bradley, but we wanted to give him the six-man job. We wanted to. We wanted him to come off the bench. We wanted him there for his leadership. And he made it known to us in the beginning, I'm willing to stay. I'm willing to have this conversation. Then he ignores us. Then he doesn't talk to the organization. What are we supposed to do? Wait for your old decrepit self to consider whether or not you want to retire? What? You're old, okay? We gotta put a minutes restriction on you on top of a game restriction. So we're already bending backwards for you. We're giving you more guaranteed money, but you don't want to talk to us or nothing. We then signed Jason Terry because we're like, we need something. Then you get in your feelings. They signed Jason Terry. They didn't want me back. Dog, for as smart as you try to portray yourself to be, you've made some of the dumbest decisions in NBA history consistently. What do you expect us to do? We wanted you back. We gave you more money than anybody else could or anybody else would. We caved into your demands. You said you didn't want to be traded. We wrote in the contract you will not even be included in any trade talks at all whatsoever. We were giving you a minutes restriction because you felt like you weren't able to play all the minutes you wanted to. and we gave you a games restriction so you were able to rest whenever you felt like it. We're giving you superstar privileges when at best you were going to be a glorified six-man. And then we go get Jason Terry and you get in your light-skinned feelings. You get mad. You get mad. Oh, well, I don't know why they want to do that to me. What are we supposed to do? Wait for you? You ain't Bron. You ain't KD. Why would we wait for you? What? Come on, man. Stop playing.
And people forget that 2012 Celtics team, that conference final, they were up 3-2 in that game 6 at Boston Garden. And that was the best clutch game LeBron ever. I will give him that one.
Oh
he
my
played
God.
like Jordan that night.
Oh
I'll give him that one.
Yo, all right.
That's the only one.
All right, I'm killing myself today. That's it. I'm dying happy. This is it. This is apex. This is the zenith of my life. Greg called LeBron clutch.
In that game, he was.
I'll take it.
Listen. We know when this conversation went last time. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
No, this is different because listen, Greg is giving him props. I'm gonna take it.
Yep.
I'm gonna take
no blood pressure can't take that conversation.
That's the only time.
Because Greg, you were doing so.
That's the only time
You ain't got to go like that. You know, listen. He called LeBron clutch for that.
He
game.
was.
For those. Are you saying the 2 games? To
that game 6, he was at the Garden. That one. Yeah.
I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that. I'm not gonna argue it. It's just great to hear Greg call LeBron clutch. It just feels great for him to ignite. Even if it was just for one game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I gave it
as long as I just hear Greg say it, my life is complete. I'm good. I'm good.
It made me cry.
Last topic I'm going to touch on real quick. The MLB lockout, their most recent meeting was a whopping 15 minutes.
They basically made it to the car, to the boardroom, and said, "Deuce, we're not talking. See you later."
Now, the only thing of note that happened during that meeting, it really wasn't a meeting. It was more of an ultimatum from the MLB. The MLB said, if you guys want the regular season to begin on schedule, we need to have an agreement signed, dated, confirmed, and put to action by February 28th, which is 10 days from now. They said if there's no agreement, there's no signing, nothing, then this regular season will be delayed.
Wow.
Now, the reason they're saying that is because what they want to do, they want to try to they're going to minimize the spring training. But even if the regular season starts late, they're still going to do spring training, even though it's not in spring. They're still going to do spring training to warm their bodies up, which is why they're saying there's the deadline. So that basically was the only reason they had the meeting. Jay, this ultimatum, do you think it makes the players kind of have to go, all right, let's kind of just agree to something so we can start playing?
Hell no. No. And I'll tell you why. I knew this season was going to happen when the Major League Baseball turned down mediation. When they turned down mediation, I felt like they were digging their feet into the dirt and they want their demands and they're not going to take no crap. And so that's why I feel like Major League Baseball can say 10 days, whatever, but these players, if that was going to be something that would happen, it would have happened during mediation and that would have been a done deal. But when they dug their feet into the dirt and said, we don't want mediation, here's our demands, and this is what we want, and we're not taking less, well, now you put the whole thing into a jeopardy situation. So no, they gave them a deadline. That deadline's going to come and go. This season will not start on time. Here's the deal. These players got money, man. They're good. They're good. I mean, honestly, most of them have taken care of their money. They're fine. What's going to hurt is the revenue side for the owners and for the league. And let's be honest, it's also going to affect the relevancy of the game. Let's be honest. I mean, people are already kind of wishy-washy on baseball compared to basketball and football. So now that you're telling me you're not even going to have baseball for however many months, I mean, I think that hurts the game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to hurt if they miss a long period of time. because we saw what happened on the last strike in '94. It took them, 2-3 years just to get back to, what it was. So the season's not going to start on time. But hopefully they can find some common ground here so we can at least have a baseball season, because I do want to see baseball. I like watching baseball.
Me too.
So I don't want it to not happen. So hopefully they can find some common ground here soon so we can at least have some season.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris. No, go ahead, Chris.
No, I agree. I agree. I think they'll have a season, but I don't think it's going to start on time. And I don't think this deadline does really affects the players that much, their decision that much at all. No. They've already dug in where I think they planned on, hey, the season probably isn't going to start on time.
Yep.
You know what's interesting to me, Greg, and I saw this the other day where Soto turned down 13 years, $340 million or $350 million, and I did the math on that. It comes out to about $26.9 million a year. And I looked at what's that guy? What's the dude over there in Anaheim or the Angels? Trout. I looked at Trout's contract, and Trout's contract was around the $420 million range. I think Soto probably should command about $400 million. I think that's kind of where he falls right about the $400 million mark, and I think he's going to sign that deal. But isn't that crazy to say $400 million? $400 million? God, that's a lot of damn money.
I think when the pressure gets on the players is when the longer it goes, because then some of the younger guys that don't have the money, they're going to want to go ahead and go. But I don't think they're going to figure anything out by this deadline. I don't think this deadline puts that much pressure on the players.
Right. Well, to Dustin's point, he said good news off of it. The sides are meeting Monday, and they plan to meet 3 times. So hopefully within those 3 times, and let's be fair here too. Is there going to be pressure on the players? Yeah, but there's going to be pressures on the owners too, because a lockout means no money. I don't know if anyone here brought that up.
Hey, let me ask you a question, and this for all you guys. This is what kind of the one issue I have with baseball is, like I was telling you earlier, we give these guys these big mega deals and stuff like this, and when they make it to the majors, but why aren't we giving at least a $50,000 or $60,000 salary to these minor leaguers so they could live on while they're playing the sport? Because it really is. It's almost like baseball has 2 levels. You're either poverty in the minors or you're mega rich in the majors, but there's nothing in the freaking middle. That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
True.
It really is. But that's one of the things that they're trying to fight for. And it's
I mean, how you look at poverty level playing? I don't get that.
The reason their reasoning for it is because they're not part of the major affiliate, which is whatever team it is, like either be the Angels, Red Sox, whatever the case may be. Since it's not that's not their responsibility. So what they're trying to do, I don't know. Does anyone here watch wrestling by any chance?
I do.
No, not really.
Okay, so what it is so they label wrestlers as independent contractors.
Yep.
So if you get hurt, you got to figure it out on your own. Any accommodations, you figure it out on your own. And that's how the MLB is treating the minor leaguers. They're treating them as independent contractors. Where
that's interesting. Okay,
it's this weird thing, but because they're with the affiliate, they're still not part of that team. So,
but isn't the affiliate? It's the affiliate that's paying their salary, correct?
Yes, the affiliate is paying their salary through them, but also depending on the team through the major leaguers, the major league team. Like for instance, because I live in Greenville and the Boston Red Sox, one of their minor league affiliates is here. With COVID, they went to they spoke to the Red Sox and they was like, look, we can't survive this. So they were able to get some money from them. You know what I mean? But most of it's all through their own revenue.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
I
learn more about the minors and everything. The baseball is such an intricate, weird sport, man. The way they structure everything is so different from basketball or football or anything else.
Because in basketball, they just everything is the same. It's all the same. And it's like that's why they got these 2-way contracts or whatever. But They don't have that in baseball. You just get called up and you're still playing on the same contract, which is weird.
Yeah, and
it is weird. It's incredibly weird. Like, has there ever been a point in baseball where, you just got hired on with the team and there was no farm? When did the farm system even come into them? I guess I'm trying to get my history here. When did the farm system even come about?
I'll look it up right now.
I know in that
point where it was like
a couple of years ago, some of the major league players actually help pay some of the minor league salaries.
Yep.
And they should, man. Damn, give something back to your brethren coming up in the ranks, man. Damn. I mean, can you imagine $1 million could go far?
A lot of the minor league guys have to work another job
to make ends meet.
To make it.
Yeah. So the farm system, there was a baseball executive who devised the farm system, trained ball players in 1919.
Okay, so it has been around for a hot minute.
Yeah, almost as long as baseball.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, all right.
That's hilarious. It's crazy, bro. It really is. What a time to be alive. What a time indeed. So this has been ASAP in the morning. Yesterday, I forgot to give the stat of the day from Dustin. So there's going to be 3. Each of the last 16 quarterbacks to lose their Super Bowl debut has never made it back. And then these are the last 16 quarterbacks who lost in their Super Bowl debut and have yet to return. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, Rex Grossman, Matt Hasselbeck, Donovan McNabb, Jake Delhomme, Rich Gannon, Kerry Collins, Steve McNair, Chris Chandler, Drew Bledsoe, Neil O'Donnell, and Stan Humphries. Joe Burrow attempts to not fall there into that group. Lucky for him, he made it early in his career. So, shout out to him, who's already better than Patrick Mahomes.
No, never in his life will he be.
And they say,
hey, listen, though, Greg, y'all better watch out for these Bengals, man. They got $50 million of cap space and only a few holes to fill on the offensive line and the secondary. This team is going to be formidable, bro.
Yeah. All right. So here's another one. This is the second one that Dustin wanted to say yesterday. Do y'all know when Tom Brady was drafted?
2000. 2000, right? Yeah.
So he drafted 2000. Do you know who won the Super Bowl heading into that season?
Rams.
Tom Brady has played his entire career in between both of the 2 most recent Super Bowl wins of the Rams.
Oh wow!
Let that sink in. In between their Super Bowl,
he was in between Warner. He was in between Warner and Stafford.
Yeah,
yes,
Stafford. Yeah,
he was in between them, and his entire career. His entire career.
That's insane. That's crazy. By the way, if you've never seen that movie Underdog, go see American Underdog, man. That Kurt Warner story is just phenomenal.
It's hilarious. It actually is, bro. But yeah, it's kind of funny. He debuted and retired, but the same team won the Super Bowl.
That's insane. That's crazy.
So now this is the one that he wanted me to say today. Over Aaron Rodgers' last 72 games, he's thrown 156 touchdown passes. That's more touchdown passes than any Bears QB has thrown in the franchise's 101-year-old history.
Mike Hughes is going to love that stat of the day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is great. That is absolutely crazy.
Is that why the media says he owns Chicago?
Oh, man. All right, well, this has been ASAP in the morning. Wait a minute. I'm so depressed. I thought I paused the fight. It was still going the whole time. I'm going to punch my thing. But this has been ASAP in the morning. It's been a great Friday. Great week, gentlemen. We'll be back here on Monday to talk more things sports. Maybe get into another argument. Who knows? But until then, we'll be back here on Monday, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. Jay, Greg, Chris, thank you guys for being here. On behalf of these fine, exquisite gentlemen who are very intelligent and know all things sports, it has been your boy Pride. I'll be back here Monday. Until then, y'all know what to do. Be safe.
sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. We talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.